Hello and welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. My name is Atim Tongana, coming to you from Entebbe, inside the State House. I'm joined by the President himself of Uganda, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni. Thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us on RT.
Thank you so much.
So, Mr. President, let me jump straight to your relations with Russia. Uganda has built a very strong tie with Russia. And when you look at the cooperation between these two countries, be it the economic cooperation or military engagements, what do you think Uganda has gained through these relations, and what role do you see Russia playing in Uganda's future? And are there any challenges in these bilateral relations, and what can be improved?
We start our grandparents started working with the Soviet Union in 1917, when the communists took power in the Soviet Union. They started helping us against colonialism. The whole of Africa had been colonized, except for Ethiopia. So our relationship with Russia starts in 1917. It's not the one of today. They were one of the few countries which stood with the colonized peoples in the anti-colonial struggle. Then, in the Second World War, Russia played a very big role in the defeating of Hitler. And after the Second World War, the Soviet Union assisted us again in the anti-colonial struggle. All the liberation movements, including the one of Uganda, got support, either moral or material, from the Soviet Union. So that is our starting point. For now, there are a lot of benefits, economically, security cooperation, tourism, a lot of potential. But the starting point is the political, the anti-colonial struggle.
What are the challenges that these two countries have faced insofar as their ties are concerned? And if there are any challenges, what can be improved? And also, Mr. President, what role do you see Russia playing in this country's future?
Russia is a big market for some of our products, like coffee and other products. We work with them in security, in defense, tourism. Tourists can come here from Russia. Investments, the Russians can invest here. I don't see any problems other than that we cannot overcome. I don't see any big problem. Because the only issue are the Western countries trying to block banks, but we can use mineral. We can use gold and trade, or barter trade, pay in local currency. We can give products to Russia. They pay us in the rubles, and we give them products here. They pay us in the Uganda shillings. There's no problem. I don't see any big problem.
Uganda, since the beginning of this year, the 1st of January 2025, has become a partner with the BRICS group of countries. When you look at the goals of BRICS, how do you align them with your anticipations, or what are your anticipations in being a partner and potentially becoming a member?
The whole concept of BRICS is non-confrontational arrangement. They are not confronting anybody. They are not forming a bloc against this or that. They are simply coming together to work together, which is what should be happening in the whole world. It is those people who say you are either for us or against us that make mistakes. Otherwise, BRICS has no problem. It is people who want to work together, countries which want to work together, that get together and start with maybe dealing with some world issues. Like, for instance, the reform of the Security Council. They take a common position. The issue of peace here and there. On the issue of, on the global issues, including the trade. Trade is a very useful instrument of helping one another. If I buy from you, I'm assisting you. I'm giving you income. I'm helping you to create jobs in your country. The same if you buy from me. If I buy something, you buy something from me. You are helping me to create jobs in my country. So this trade is mutual support for one another.
You quoted in one of your addresses Victory Marshal Zhukov. In particular, Mr. President, can you explain what inspires you about his personality and his achievements when you quoted him? What actually drew you to this particular figure?
Well, first of all, the Soviet Union, as I told you, played a decisive role in the defeat of Hitler. Hitler, who was a demonic threat to the world. Now, Marshal Zhukov played a very decisive role in organizing the Russian forces. First of all, in the East, in the Far East, against Japan, and then later on in the Moscow area, the defense of Moscow, then also to the West, to push the Germans out of the Soviet Union. He was a very good organizer, very focused. You know, fighting is not easy, because you get all sorts of ideas, do this. But a commander who is able to say, no, let's do this, and wait for the right time is unique. Sometimes it's not always available. That decision of incisiveness as to what to do and when. I think there was some debate about what to do in that battle when the Germans attacked that Kursk barrage. They were calling it Kursk barrage. I think it was Zhukov who said, let's wait. Let the Germans attack first, we defeat the attack, then we go. I think some people were saying, let's act before. I said, no, let's wait. That type of clear-headedness is what I like in a general, in a field marshal.
Decisive.
Not only decisive, analysis and deciding how to act correctly. Not too early, not too late, not too little. All those are not easy to determine. But Zhukov had all of that.
Speaking, Mr. President, about the Soviet Union, insofar as its victory over Berlin in World War II, what do you think the Soviet Union's victory, what do you think its role had to play in Africa's independence or its fight to being independent?
Well, as I told you, by 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized, except for Ethiopia. Now, the three factors which helped us to regain our freedom are, number one, the resistance of the African people. They kept resisting. Starting in South Africa, 1912, the ANC.
With the ANC.
That was the beginning of the African resistance in the modern times. There were the old tribal chiefs who are trying to fight, like Setwayo,
They try here.
and others, and Lobengula and others, but they didn't succeed. So the modern freedom fighters started with ANC in 1912. So that was factor number one. That resistance spread to all parts of Africa. But the second factor was the support of the socialist camp, starting with the Soviet Union, as I told you. From 1917, they were supporting us. Then 1949, they were joined by China to support us. So that was the second factor. Our resistance, number one. Number two, the support of the socialist countries. But number three, the weakening of the imperialists. The imperialists weakened themselves in their greedy wars. The First World War, among themselves, Germany against England, against United States, then the Second World War. So by the end of the Second World War, they were no longer able to resist us. That's how India gets independence, 1947. Indonesia gets independence. The French tried to go back to Indochina. They were defeated by the Vietnamese here in Africa. So you can see that the support by the socialist countries was one of the three factors that helped us to get back our freedom.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union over Nazi Germany. What would your message be to President Vladimir Putin and the people of Russia?
I salute the Soviet peoples and the people of the world, because even we here, we were fighting Hitler, but although we were supporting the British, our soldiers were all over in Burma against the Japanese, in North Africa, in Italy, in Ethiopia, against the Italians. So I salute the Soviet Union, because they are the ones who did most of the fighting. You can imagine by the time the Americans landed in Normandy, this is 1944, when the Soviet Union had already pushed Hitler out of most of the Soviet territory. Big victories had already been achieved against Hitler. The Battle of Moscow, the Battle of Stalingrad, the Battle of the Kursk Barrage, even I think Belarusia, I think that had also happened. That's how these people, the Western countries, landed in 1944, June. This was less than 1 year to the end of the war. And you can also check the number of the German divisions which were on the Eastern Front, on the Russian front, and compare it with the number which was on the Western Front. It was big difference. Most of the soldiers of Germany were on the East, because that's where the big danger was. So I salute the Soviet people and all the people of the world who fought against Nazi fascism.
Uganda has often said that it would support efforts to end the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, although Moscow and Kiev have not had an official bilateral deal as of yet. We know the United States has come in to broker a deal, a 30-day energy infrastructure ceasefire. However, Moscow says Kiev unilaterally violated that deal on a daily basis. And moreover, there's also reports that Moscow initiated an Easter truce, which has reportedly also been brokered, or broken, I should say, by Ukraine. Do you think Kiev is capable of actually upholding any agreement, be it short-term or even long-term for that matter?
Well, I think the Kiev, Ukraine, is being misdirected by some of the external players. They make a lot of mistakes. They cause a lot of problems here in Africa because they come and support wrong positions. Like in the issue of Ukraine, we told everybody that we didn't want to take sides. That's why Uganda has been voting, abstaining in the UN, because we said, let's listen who is right and who is wrong. But these people didn't want to listen. They wanted to take sides. So we said, no, we don't want to be part of this because we know that those countries were together, Russia and Ukraine. I did the English literature. There was a poem by a British poet, Alfred Tennyson. It is called The Charge of the Light Brigade. This was talking about a British unit that was in Crimea, this Crimea they are talking about now, in 1854 to 1856, in the Crimean War. What I have asked the Western people that I talked to, I say, what was the British unit doing in Crimea in 1854? And whom were they fighting? If the Russians were in Crimea in 1854, and now you say Crimea is now in Ukraine, what? We don't know, we are not there. Why? Let's listen. Why do you think Crimea belongs more to Ukraine than to Russia or vice versa? Let's listen. I had heard that Khrushchev transferred some parts of Russia and put them in Ukraine when they were like one country, internal borders. Okay, that was when they were one country. Now, if they become two countries, if you divorce, when you are married and you divorce, then you audit what the wife brought, what the husband brought, and then we were asking, was the audit, when the separation happened between Ukraine and Russia, was the auditing, was the divorce done properly? Did you check what the wife came with and what the husband came with so that there's no unfairness? That's what we wanted to know. Just want to sit in a meeting and we hear, you people, you are married. You are now divorcing. How do you share your property? And why? Why do you want to take this table? Because the table was brought by this one. That's what we were asking them, but they didn't want. They were saying, no, Russia is wrong because they attacked a sovereign country. Yeah, but this sovereign country, they were one country, one time. Why don't we listen to the arguments which they are having? That's why we didn't. So we think that Ukraine is being misled by people who normally mislead other people.
Who are those people, Mr. President?
The imperialists, the ones who like to interfere in the affairs of other countries. And you can see Mr. Trump is coming out and saying, no, I don't want to be part of this mistake.
What did you make of that interaction? Did you see when the president of Ukraine visited the White House with Mr. President Donald Trump?
Well, what they were saying is what I had actually, because I wrote a letter to Mr. Biden myself, and it's a confidential letter, I have not published it. But the arguments I keep seeing now are what I was telling Mr. Trump long ago, when the war started. We told the Western countries what we thought privately. They should be neutral and fair, balanced. But they are not balanced. They are always after this wrong position. It's not new. So I think Ukraine would be, if you follow the advice of those, you can get into trouble. Even here in Africa, that's the same problem. When you hear of the problems here, problems there, in South Africa, this was the problem. That small group of white people, they wasted so much of our time fighting them. It was clear they should have gone for democracy long ago, 1960. Sharpeville and Langa massacres.
Sharpeville massacre, yes.
Wasting our time, we had now to spend almost 40 years fighting those people.
So do you think Ukraine will eventually get to a point where they accept an agreement and uphold it, given what you say, the influences, the external influences that they have, and you're citing issues in South Africa where there was a delay in the implementation of democracy? Do you see it there happening in Ukraine? Do you see the delay?
Well, for us, we are freedom fighters. We freedom fighters believe in fighting just wars. The wars of justice. It is Mao Zedong who elaborated this very well. Just wars as opposed to wars of aggression. So in each case, if you have got a just cause, the just cause will prevail. If you have got, so we don't, who is right and who is wrong in this case? I have my opinions, but I don't want to externalize them. For instance, we asked some of these friends, did we hear that Ukraine had stopped the speaking of the Russian language in Ukraine? Some said yes, some said no. So where is the truth? Because I'm speaking to you in English. I'm not an Englishman, you can see me. But English came and became part of our language, our system here. And we respect it, we use it for international communication. in Uganda, we've got a 3-language policy. English for international communication. Our indigenous languages for local communication. Swahili for regional. 3-language policy. So what would be the problem? Because part of some of the people are Russian. That's what we hear. Why would anybody, even for one day, say, I don't want Russian to be spoken here? What are you? Who are you? What sort of person are you? Who are you to stop me speaking my language in my home? So this is the type of chauvinism. You know chauvinism? That can lead to all these problems. So I asked some of our people, our friends, the Light Brigade of 1854, whom were they fighting and why? Then this question of the language, we asked them. I couldn't get a clear answer.